Yo, what's up? How are you doing? Today I'm uploading this video in the hope that I can bring some clarity to those of you who are a little bit confused about this whole fitness thing and are still trying to navigate the ungodly amount of BS that is spewed out on social media on a regular basis.
Breathe out and tighten down.
But first, let me just caveat things by pointing out that what I'm about to say is only relevant to folks who have already built a base of consistency, physical strength, mental fortitude, and muscle mass. If you're still scrawny, weak, flaky, and clueless beginner, this video isn't for you. What you need to do instead is to lay a foundation through progressively overloading a handful of multi-joint movements and learning how to eat in order to fuel your performance in the lifting room as well as your recovery outside the gym. These two are non-negotiable pillars upon which to build a bigger and higher pyramid down the road. However, if you ever get to a point where you want to implement a prioritization phase in order for you to bring up a specific body part, the commonly known training splits, the upper, the lowers, the full bodies, push-pull, and all that stuff, do a pretty mediocre job at capturing the depth and complexity of what ought to happen in the gym in order for you to achieve your goals. What do I mean by that? Well, when someone mentions that they are going to do a pull day or a lower body day or something along these lines, it is typically the case that there is much more to these movement-based or body part-based definitions. I'm going to share a couple of examples to illustrate my point, so hopefully you'll find this information useful. But before I go ahead, let me remind you that it takes countless hours to edit, write, and shoot all these videos, so I would appreciate a like and a comment to support the channel. Thanks a ton. In one of my most recent videos, I laid out my plan to grow an inch in my upper arms and forearms throughout 2023. In that video, I also presented the type of training splits that I'd be using for this goal. And the truth of the matter is that each of these sessions should have an asterisk right next to them to imply that my training is not limited by anatomical constraints. Taking into consideration the underlying prioritization required to achieve my own aesthetic goals, I am forced to include movements that train muscle groups outside the lower body on lower body days, as you're about to see. For example, I would add bodyweight pull-ups after my sets of Platz squats as a way for me to expose my back muscles to a higher training frequency, since I set out to train my back in some capacity at least 4 times per week. These quick and small contributions of stimulus almost double the amount of sets allocated to the back complex throughout the entire week of training. A few sets here and there can make a whole world of difference in a year's time. Once I'm done with Platz squats, I finish off the first part of this session with a hack squat machine using a narrow and a closer to my body feet stance. This position murders my quads. Since this muscle group is pretty fatigued from the previous barbell movement, I use a rather light weight to work with high rep numbers. This is a guided machine, so I don't have to worry about the stabilizing component of the lift, and I can simply focus on contracting my quadriceps as hard as I can in each repetition. The metabolic stress accumulating locally gives me an insane pump in my quads, and this is a totally different stimulus from the previous free weight version of the squat I showed you before. In the middle part of this lower body session, I'm going to throw in an exercise that is considered by many to be a crime against humanity. And I think that's a pretty accurate assessment, to be perfectly honest with you. Yes, I'm talking about Bulgarian split squats and all the toxic drama that goes with this love and hate relationship. But in all seriousness, this single leg squat variation is a glute destroyer in the best possible sense of the expression. 3 sets of 10, which is effectively 60 total repetitions since you have to perform the movement one side at a time. The stretching of the muscles at the hip, the global tension and concentration required not to lose balance, the psychological slap in the face when you're done with one leg, knowing that you still have to repeat it all over again with the other one, is just brutal. But please don't get it twisted here. The time I use to rest, recover, and catch a breath is a perfect opportunity to train my forearms. Yes, I use straps during these single leg squats to prevent my grip from ever becoming the limiting factor, but now I can punish my forearms more surgically with just one dumbbell. That's all it takes. By the way, I borrowed this variation of a finger roll and curl from Basement Bodybuilding, so shout out to him for motivating me to train a body part that I never paid too much attention to up until recently. And let me just say that this unflashy and repetitive exercise is an absolute killer, and I'm going to share a little story with all of you so you understand what I'm talking about. A few weeks ago, I made the mistake of signing some papers only a few hours after completing this exercise, and holy crap, that was a mistake on my part. I could barely grab anything. My right hand was trembling from holding a freaking pen. That's how good this exercise is. And the third and last section of this lower body workout features machine leg extensions. Through this exercise, I ensure that my quads get to work very hard outside the context of compound lifts, like the 3 ones I've done prior. If ever was there any doubt as to whether I have confronted my quadriceps with enough of a challenge up to this point, this isolation lift puts all these question marks to rest. Now I can focus on my quads doing all the work without any muscle group assisting them, as they are solely responsible for knee extension. So extend those legs, bitch! Not only do I push each of the 3 sets to the limit, but I go even beyond failure through partial repetition so that my quads can keep working in their most lengthened position. This is raw effort to full exhaustion until I can no longer move the pad a single inch, pretty much invoking Quadzilla before your very eyes. And after a disgraceful dismount of this machine, I proceed to walk very awkwardly to the side to complete isolation work for specific body parts that I'm particularly interested in, the deltoids. I just love the look of big, rounded, and capped shoulders, so my go-to isolation movement that I include at every single opportunity in the gym is glute raises. Such a versatile movement that fits so well during lower body days, since there is no muscle overlap in between exercises. If you ever wonder how to add more shoulder volume into your training, lower body days are perfect for this. After squats, leg presses, single leg work, hip thrusters, or isolation lifts with machines, there is always room for glute raises. Now that 95% of the session is completed on this quote-unquote lower body day, I'm going to finish off this workout with 1 extra set for my biceps. Yes, I said biceps. Don't forget that the overall theme of my current training is arm focused. But before I go any further, let me just say that this isn't going to be your typical set. I'm going to be using a rest pause method to overload my biceps in the most time efficient way I know. So the beauty of a rest pause is that it's a fast way to turn a set into multiple sets in terms of muscle fiber activation. Once I reach failure or 0 RIR in the opening set, I rest for 10 seconds and then I proceed to complete as many reps as I can in a highly fatigued state, because let's be honest, I haven't fully recovered in such a short time window. I repeat this process for as many times as I need to reach my target, which in this case is 30 reps. So instead of doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions for biceps, that is 30 reps in total, I complete 15 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, essentially doing the same amount of work in less time, but with the majority of my reps being highly stimulatory for muscle growth due to the type of fiber activation recruited when approaching muscular failure, which is most of the set. As you just saw, using terms like upper, lower, full body, push-pull leg, etc. are just theoretical framework to build a program around, but as you get more experience and you set your own particular goals, the separation lines get unclear and things get much more convoluted. On paper, this was a lower body day with a strong emphasis on the anterior side, aka the quadriceps, but along the way, I managed to do some work that met the criteria of my arm prioritization phase. If you liked today's video, check out this other one. I think you're gonna like it. Please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click on the bell to get notified every time a new video goes live. Stay fit, stay strong, help me raise an army of Super Saiyans all around the world. Peace.